second canto entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. And we're on chapter 9, Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. And today's text is number 30. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Text 30. Please repeat. Yavat sakasa yor ibishate krita.
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 Raja visarge vibhajami bhojanam. Raja visarge vibhajami bhojanam. Aviklavaste parikarmani stito. Aviklavaste parikarmani stito. Mame samudara madhojamanina. Mame samudara madhojamanina. Yavat sakasa kyur ibeshate krita. Raja visarge vibhajami bhojanam. Aviklavaste parikarmani stito. Mame samudara madhojamanina. Please chant.
Yavat sakur iveshate krita. Raja visarge vipayami bhojanam. Aviklavaste parikramani stito. Mame samudada madhujamanina.
Yavat sakasakayor niveshate krita. Raja visarge vibhajami bhojanam. Aviklavaste parikarmani stito. Mame samunata madhojamanina.
Yavat sakasa puriveshate krita. Raja visarge vibhajami bhojanam. Aviklavaste parikramani stito. Mame samunata madhojamanina.
Yavat sakasa puriveshate krita. Raja visarge vibhajami bhojanam. Adi
Word for word synonyms, please repeat. Yavat, as it is. Sakha, friend. Sakyu, unto the friend. Eva, like that. Isha, O Lord. Te, you. Krita, have accepted. Praja, the living entities. Visarge, in the matter of creation. Vibhajami, as I shall do it differently. Oh my Lord. Jana, those who are born. Aviklava, without being perturbed. Te, your. Parikarmani, in the matter of service. Stita, thus situated. Ma, may it never be. May, unto me. Samudada, resulting arise. Mara, madness. Aja, oh unborn one. Manina, thus being thought of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is in Bhagavatam this morning. So Lord Brahma is continuing to speak to the Lord. Oh my Lord, the unborn, you have shaken hands with me, just as a friend does with a friend, as if equal in position. I shall be engaged in the creation of different types of living entities, and I shall be occupied in your service. I have no perturbation, but I pray that all this may not give rise to pride, as if I were the supreme. Lord Brahma says, I shall have no perturbation. What does that mean? Yeah, my question was, Lord Brahma said, I shall have no perturbation. Yeah, not being disturbed, not being mentally agitated.
Probably has to be turned on.
I don't see an on-off switch.
There's no on-off switch.
It's a different microphone. I'll speak louder. Can you hear me now? So Lord Brahma says he will not be disturbed, but he prays, nonetheless he prays that while doing all this service, that it does not give rise to pride. So Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Brahma is definitely situated in the humor of friendship. Prabhupada said, definitely, there's no question about it, with the Lord. Every living being is eternally related with the personality of Godhead in one of 5 different transcendental humors, namely Shanta, or neutrality, Dasya, or servitorship, Sakya, or friendship, Vatsalya, parenthood, and Madhurya, conjugal love. We have already discussed these 5 kinds of humors in relationship with the personality of Godhead. It is clearly exhibited herein that Lord Brahma is related to the personality of Godhead in the transcendental humor of friendship. devotee may be related with the Lord in any one of the transcendental humors, even in the humor of parenthood. But the devotee of the Lord is always a transcendental servitor. So, this discussion about the 5 different types of rasas or humors, as Prabhupada also calls it, that one can have with the Supreme Lord shouldn't be taken lightly. One can actually have their heart's desire fulfilled by dovetailing their propensity to love with the personality of Godhead Krishna. Thank you. So it's explained that in Vaikuntha, the rasas of Shanta, which is neutrality, and Dasya, which is servitorship, exist in Vaikuntha planets. Outside of Goloka, the Vaikuntha planets. And also, the next rasa, Sakya rasa. Sakya rasa exists in the Vaikuntha planets, but it's a lower dimension, if you will, lower level of Sakya rasa. So in Sakya rasa, the Acharyas have analyzed that Sakya rasa has 2 divisions. The first division is called Gaurava Sakya rasa. And in Gaurava Sakya rasa, one has a friendship with the Lord, but there's the mood of reverence, awe and reverence. One doesn't consider themselves equal with the Lord. One wouldn't, play leapfrog with the Lord or something. There's still awe and reverence, respect, and a mood of servitorship, but in friendship. So we have examples like Arjuna. Arjuna became afraid when he saw the universal form, and he actually apologized to Krishna that please forgive me for my offense. What offense was that? Oh, I used to sit on the same bed with you. We used to take our lunch together. Oh my gosh, I was acting like I was equal to you or something. Oh, what an aparad. So he begged forgiveness for that. But in the upper level of Sakya rasa, that's called Vishramba Sakya rasa. And in Vishramba Sakya rasa, one actually considers themselves equal with the Lord, on the same level. Therefore, we find in Goloka that the Sakhas, or Krishna's boyfriends, they play games with Krishna. They compete with Krishna. They arm wrestle with Krishna. They play leapfrog with Krishna. When there's 2 teams playing against each other in a competition, competitive sport, the team that wins has to carry the team that loses on their shoulders. So sometimes Krishna's team wins and he gets carried on the shoulder of one of the boys that lost. But sometimes Krishna's team loses, and Krishna has to carry one of the boys on his shoulders. So Sakya rasa in Goloka is different than the Sakya rasa in Vaikuntha, because in Goloka, one can be on the same level with the Lord, and even better than the Lord. One can control the Lord through their confidential love. So in the Vaishnava Sampradayas, Sri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, these are the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas that are still extant in human society today. They can take, or they offer to people the opportunity to go as high as the Gaurava Sakya rasa, which is found in Vaikuntha. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, the Nimai Sampradaya, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, This is a very, very unique opportunity to be given the opportunity to enter into Vishramba Sakyarasa, or Vatsalya, parental rasa, or Madhurya, the conjugal rasa. So here Prabhupada, in the verse translation, he said that, he translates Brahma as saying that you've shaken hands with me just as a friend does with a friend, as if in equal position. And Prabhupada says in the very first sentence of the purport, it's definitely shown here that Lord Brahma is in the Sakya, or friendship rasa with the Lord. And we were mentioning maybe last week, or the week before, I don't know, that in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, it's said there that Brahma actually shook hands with Vraj Gopal, not with Vishnu. He was actually, it was revealed there that he actually shook hands with Vraj Gopal, Krishna in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada continues his purport. He said that the devotee is always a transcendental servitor. No matter what the confidential rasa is with Krishna, conjugal, parental, etc., one always is in the mood of service, meaning that even if they take service from Krishna or act bigger than Krishna, it's all in service of his happiness. There's no self-centeredness. So Prabhupada continues, no one is equal to or greater than the Lord. That is the version of the Bhagavad Gita. So where in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna say or imply that no one is equal to or greater than him? Prabhupada says that is the version of the Bhagavad Gita, that no one's equal to or greater than the Lord. So what verse are you referring to?
This is Upanishad verse, not just among Jari.
No, Bhagavad Gita.
It is there in the Purport.
Yeah, but I'm saying not in this purport.
Not in this in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, where in Bhagavad Prabhupada didn't say this was what I said in Bhagavad Gita as it is. He said, no one is greater to or equal than the Lord. That is the version of the Bhagavad Gita. Meaning, Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. So where does Krishna say? Not Prabhupada's purports. Obviously, Prabhupada says that all over the place. But we want to support what Prabhupada says by Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita. So where in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna say, no one is greater than or equal to me? Katya?
I don't know if there's exact verse, but there are many verses where Krishna implies that he's the most, like that he's superior to everybody else, like that he remembers everything what was in the past and like now and the future, and other living entities cannot, or that he is the supreme lord of all living entities and enjoy all the sacrifices. Like there are many verses where he implies that.
Yeah, so Krishna's, he's not boasting, but he's making his position clear in Bhagavad Gita. So there are 3 verses in the 15th chapter that more like, nicely, explicitly say this. So in the 15th chapter, Yoga of the Supreme Person, text 16 and 17 and 18, Krishna says the following. I'll just read the translations, Prabhupada's translations. Krishna says, there are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Then in the next verse, 17, he says, besides these 2, fallible and infallible, there's the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them. And in 18, because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Krishna makes it clear that he's beyond both the fallible and the infallible. He's the greatest. So that means no one is equal to or greater than him. Okay, continuing Prabhupada's purport. Brahmaji, although eternally related with the Lord in the transcendental humor of friendship, and although entrusted with the most exalted post of creating different grades of living entities, is still conscious of his position, that he is neither the Supreme Lord nor supremely powerful. Now we have the opposite problem, consciousness. Lord Brahma is engaged in the most important service. He's got the highest position in the material world, yet he's always conscious that I'm just a servant of the Supreme. We, on the other hand, are terribly insignificant. If we were to, poof, and go out of existence right now, the world would not notice. There would be no difference in the greater scheme of things. We are so insignificant, and we have such an unimportant position, no matter if we're the king of the world, planet Earth, it's insignificant. And yet, we think we're so great. We're so proud. We actually think we're God. Because Bhaktanam Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwam Suridam Sarvabhutanam. As soon as we think I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, I am the benefactor of others, I am the well-wishing friend of others, that means I think I'm God. So, what a difference between us and Brahma. He has all the reason in the world to be proud, yet he's not proud. And we have no reason in the world to be proud, yet we're proud. So something to meditate on. It is possible that some extremely powerful personality within or without the universe may sometimes show more power than the Lord himself. Still, the pure devotee knows that this power is a vibhuti delegated by the Lord. And such a delegated, powerful living entity is never independent. So vibhuti means an opulence or a power that can be bestowed on another by the Lord. So we hear about empowered living entities, and Prabhupada explains elsewhere that when one is empowered, but not like so greatly empowered, then they're called vibhuti. But when one is greatly empowered, then they're called avesh, or shakti avesh. So now Prabhupada's going to give an example of a devotee that was given this vibhuti power. He says, Sri Hanumanaji crossed the Indian Ocean by jumping over the sea. And Lord Sri Ramachandra engaged himself in marching over the bridge. But this does not mean that Hanumanji was more powerful than the Lord. So why did Lord Ramachandra just jump over the sea? He played like a human and had to walk on stones across a bridge. But Hanuman, in one leap, jumped over the ocean. Sometimes the Lord gives extraordinary powers to his devotee, but the devotee knows always that the power belongs to the personality of Godhead, and that the devotee is only an instrument. And that's also what Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. That if you surrender unto me and act according to my will, you can be successful in this war. You can kill everybody on this battlefield. But how is it going to be done? Only if you're in the consciousness of that you're my instrument. But if you act out of false ego, thinking I'm the doer, then you're going to be lost. But if you're in the consciousness of, I'm an instrument, then there's no karma involved and your success is guaranteed. The pure devotee is never puffed up like the non-devotee class of men who falsely think that they are God. It is astonishing to see how a person who's being kicked by the laws of the Lord's illusory energy at every step can falsely think of becoming one with the Lord. Such thinking is the last snare of the illusory energy offered to the conditioned soul. The first illusion is that he wants to become Lord of the material world by accumulating wealth and power. But when he's frustrated in that attempt, he wants to be one with the Lord. This is the world of competition. We're going to compete with each other. I'm going to get more money than you. I'm going to get a better grade on the exam than you. I'm going to get that job that I applied for and you're not going to get that same job. Sports, right? Competitive sports. Everything is competition. We go to the grocery store and there's only, 3 bags of rice on the shelf. So I'm going to walk really quickly down the lane so I can get that bag of rice before you do. Everything's a competition. Ultimately, we're competing with Krishna. Everybody's trying to be bigger and better and higher. So ultimately, we're trying to compete with Krishna. Now, what happens when you're in a competition with somebody and you can't win? You're trying, you're going on and you're going on. The competition's going on and on and on. It's like a stalemate, right? And, no one's winning. So what do? Okay, Prabhu, hey, Prabhu, this is what we're going to do. We're both going to be winners. How about that? We'll just say we both got number 1. We both won. So that's what's going on here. The materialist is competing with all others and ultimately with God to be the enjoyer, the possessor, the controller. And they compete and they compete and they compete. And when it gets to the point where they realize, I can't get it all. I got $1 million. And then I tried really hard and I got $1 billion. But I'm failing to get all of the money. So then what they do, they turn around and they say, oh, let's just all be God. I'm trying to win the game that I'm going to be the most happy person on earth in history of mankind. And you're playing that same game. But when we realize we can't win, then we make a truce. And we make a covenant with each other. Why don't we just all become God equally? That solves the problem, right? Then it's a win-win. We all win. Hi, God. How are you? I'm great. How are you, God? We're all God. So that's what's going on. The materialists are competing to be the greatest, and the Mayavadis, or the monists, they've admitted that they can't be number 1, so they make a truce with everyone and say, we'll all be number 1. And they falsely say that we're all God. So this is a cop-out, a total cop-out. So Prabhupada said that a pure devotee is never puffed up like this in this competition. Prabhupada says, so both becoming the most powerful man in the material world and desiring to become one with the Lord are different illusory snares. What does that mean, an illusory snare? A snare is something like when you set a trap to catch. Sometimes they want to catch an animal in the forest. So instead of putting in this big trap there, which, the animal can just look at and say, I'm not going to fall for that, and go in the other direction, they put a little snare, like maybe something that's not so obvious, like a wire or a rope or something. The animal's running around along the path and doesn't see that little snare, and then that snare catches them by the leg, and they're caught just by, that rope or wire or something grabbing their foot. So they've been snared. Now the hunter can come and pick up the animal and off they go. So Maya puts different snares in our life. When we're thinking, yes, I'm advancing, I'm elevating, I'm actually going to get liberation. And then she puts snares on the path. Oh yeah? Here's snare number 1, that you actually want to become the greatest in this world. And if you get by that snare, well, here's another snare. You can be God. You can be all of us just merged with God. So these snares do what? They trip us up. They make us fall back into the cycle of birth and death. So that's the job of Maya, or the illusory energy. To not let the prisoners out of jail until they're qualified to leave the jail. But if you're trying to bust out of jail, good luck. Maya's not, a fallible jail superintendent. Durga Devi is the jail superintendent. She makes sure you stay here if you're not qualified to leave. So these are the snares of the illusory energy. Because the pure devotees of the Lord are surrendered souls, they are above the illusory snares of Maya. Because they're surrendered. So what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? How one becomes immune from, protected from the snares of the illusory energy. We're all, just because we're sadhakas, practicing devotees, doesn't mean I'm free. I'm no longer going to fall victim to snares of Maya. I would like to become free from the snares of Maya. So how does one become free, protected, immune from the snares of Maya? What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita?
Surrendering to Krishna?
By surrendering to Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. It's the snares of Maya are basically impossible to overcome. You can't do it on your own or by the help of others. Only by surrendering to Krishna. So that's what Prabhupada said here, because they're surrendered.
So, because I was just meditating on something that I read in He Lives Forever by Satguru Maharaj. And yeah, I just recently read in He Lives Forever by Satguru Maharaj, and he was talking about, the surrendering process. And there's examples, like say, all right, so just say for instance, you just finished being initiated, you made your vows, and I'm going to follow forward the principles and chant 16 hymns. But then there's going to be new surrenders that don't necessarily, like say you are attached to serving in a certain place and a certain type of service, and right after you've made this vow, you're told, you need to go over there to a place you don't feel comfortable with and do a service that you're not comfortable with. Now, that is a new test of this. You're still following the regular principles, you're still chanting 16 rounds. Now you have to face that, I want that kind of service in that kind of place, not over here. So is that...
Yeah, so surrender is not a historical event. That on such and such a day, on such and such a year, I surrendered to Krishna. Surrender is a moment by moment, micro moment by micro moment activity or consciousness. And the screw gets tightened. Okay, you surrendered according to your capacity and your level of faith. According to our level of faith, we surrender. So when my faith is very Komala or Kanishta, tender, soft faith, then I can only surrender like this. But Krishna sees, wow, that person surrendered according to their faith. Yay. and he accepts that surrender. But now we're pushed to have our faith increase. And as our faith increases, well, now the surrender has to increase. If our surrender doesn't increase as our faith is increasing, or vice versa, if our faith doesn't increase as our surrender increases, they go hand in hand, then we're not going to make any advancement. So surrender is not a historical event. Surrender is a moment by moment. Yesterday I was surrendered like this. I hope today I'm a little bit more, a little better quality, a little better quantity of surrender. Otherwise, if we stay stagnant like that, I already surrendered Prabhu. I'm already done surrendering. Then Krishna isn't happy with that, and we actually end up going backwards. Because you can't stay stagnant. You either go forwards or backwards. You don't stay stagnant. We think we're stagnant. So, increase of faith is exhibited in increased surrender. So somebody can say, I've got so much faith. Oh yeah, what's the proof that one has faith? Is that their surrender becomes stellar, And that's
Mass?
I'm sorry.
Wearing masks?
Number one, thank you.
I mean, every moment, because I can say, well, I'm following the program, so I'm chanting my 16 rounds, I'm surrendered, I'm doing this, and this and that. And then all of a sudden, the thing is, well, we all have to wear a mask. Well, I'm not comfortable with the mask. And then we have a democracy, and then we vote and argue. So there's times when the surrender gets a little confusing.
Yeah, we're talking about surrender on the spiritual platform. I think that's a little bit more of a mundane platform.
I was wondering if Prabhu's point is related to what Lord Rama is saying here, I shall have no perturbation, and you're saying, a person not being challenged, or just want to stay put and not surrendering, so he's afraid that will give rise to pride.
Yeah.
You become complacent in the sense that you've got things going really good.
Yeah, so two things with Lord Brahma. He didn't have any anxiety, even though he had to do this incredibly difficult, demanding service. He didn't have any anxiety because he completely knew all this power is coming from Krishna. It's not on my shoulders.
Queen Kunti, she prayed for the perturbation, so to speak, because she said only those who are materially exhausted can actually go.
Yeah, that was material anxiety. But in doing our service, Lord Brahma shows you don't have to be in anxiety doing your service because Krishna is the one that's supplying all the facility and all the empowerment, etc. You just have to be an instrument. Yet, Brahma says, while I do this service, please protect me from falling into that trap of thinking I'm the doer and therefore being proud. We all have to be like that. I'm understanding I'm totally just an instrument. Everything's Krishna's power. But at the very next microsecond, I own that. And I say it's my achievement. It's my accomplishment. My power. And we become proud. A microsecond it takes. So we have to constantly have this prayer. Please do not allow me to become proud. Please protect me. And that's the snare of material energy. All right.
So are we doing questions now, or are we still talking?
I just had a little bit of purport, but if you have something on that, maybe I'll finish the purport. Okay, finish the purport. Because Lord Brahma is a pure devotee, even though the first dominating deity in the material world, and therefore able to do many wonderful things, he would never, like the non-devotee with a poor fund of knowledge, have the audacity to think of becoming one with the Lord. People with a poor fund of knowledge should take lesson from Brahma when they are puffed up with the false notion of becoming God. Factually, Lord Brahma does not create the living entities. In the beginning of the creation, he's empowered to give different bodily shapes to the living entities, according to their work during the last millennium. Brahmaji's duty is just to wake the living entities from their slumber and to engage them in their proper duty. The different grades of living entities are not created by Brahmaji, by his capricious whims, but he is entrusted with the task of giving the living entities different grades of body so that they can work accordingly. And still, he's conscious that he's only instrumental. so that he may not think of himself as the supreme powerful Lord. Devotees of the Lord are engaged in the specific duty offered by the Lord, and such duties are successfully carried out without hindrance because they are ordained by the Lord. The credit of success goes not to the doer, but to the Lord. But persons with a poor fund of knowledge take the credit of success into their own accounts and give nothing to the credit of the Lord. That is the symptom of the non-devotee class of men. End of Srila Prabhupada's purport. Okay, so we can open up for discussion on that.
Why me?
Have you had your hand?
Yeah, several questions, several things you said. First of all, about this Lord Brahma shaking hands with, I thought it was Vishnu, but eventually I found out it was Gopal. In that form, did he do this, or did he went and did that? Baby Krishna, Gopal, how big is he? You see, any description?
I wasn't saying baby Gopal, Vraj Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna.
So he must be bigger than, it's not like
covered boy.
Gopal. So he did this, of course, the same thing like what we talked about earlier. The second thing is that you said about competition. Competing with service with Krishna, is that good or bad?
If it's for the pleasure of Krishna.
So someone would say, I dress better than you, I'm
Right, not that,
I want to choose.
I dressed better than you, or I cooked the burfi better than you, or I distributed more books than you. It should be, wow, Prabhu, you distributed 10 books today. I'm going to distribute 12 books so that I can please Guru and Krishna. And if tomorrow you distribute 14 books, fantastic. It's not envy or self-centered. It's like, wow, you did that much service or that quality of service. How can I do even more and better to give even more pleasure to Krishna?
Nice. And the last one, I have the last one. The last one is
Yes.
like what he said, I've heard somewhere when someone new comes, it's better to give them what they like. But eventually, in a place like this or several areas, some devotees don't understand. You've got to do the needful.
Yeah.
And if you also have to have ruchi, the taste. If something is given to you, like one example I can give here, there are many, there are two I can give. One is Kivalia with the Diviks. She's very attached to that. She has the taste, and it's not done right. She just don't like it, she has to be right. So she has that taste, and Mother Haridwani is the other one. And Gopalaranjana Prabhu with Prabhupada. There are so many. So when something is given to individual, and it's also in training, some of us were trained like that, and you can see what's given to us, we take that very seriously and don't give up on that, because once you give it up, sometimes it'll never come back to you. So how can you develop that with devotees, or make them understand that this is how it is, instead of just getting angry or upset or anything?
Yeah. So in the beginning stages of devotional service, we become attached to the service because I like doing this thing or I don't like doing that thing. This is according to my propensity, whatever. But as we make advancement, we become attached to the object of service, namely Krishna. And when we're attached to the object of service, then it doesn't matter what we do because it's the object that we're attached to. Like a mother. Raise your hand if you think there's anything fun or pleasurable or whatever about changing stinky diapers and cleaning up after stinky vomit. No, nobody likes doing that. How gross and disgusting. But because you love the object of service, the child, you don't complain. You just do it. You don't even think about it. It's like, what? What are you going to do? Just leave it there? You're doing the needful for the health and well-being and happiness of the object of the service.
Everyone else around it.
Yeah, you don't say, oh, well, wait a minute. I have a PhD in astrophysics, and I come from a very wealthy family.
Well, that's what he
I
was
don't
saying.
put my hands on the floor and clean up vomit and stool.
Yeah, they hire a nanny.
Right. Yeah. So we might not be at that level where we're attached to the object of our service, namely Krishna, but we may be attached to the service, which is good. So one has to be encouraged to be attached to their service and gradually come to the point of being attached to the object of service. And then that person is more than willing, even voluntarily, without having to be told. They can see what's the needful, you know? But for the neophyte devotee, the devotee who has material motives in their service, you try to just get them to do one little thing outside of their job description, and it's like,
God, it's a pain.
they want a bloop or something, you know? So yeah, we have to, it's personal, right? No two devotees are the same. So the art, Prabhupada said, it's the art of learning how to fan the spark. You're trying to start a campfire, so you've got all this wood there, and you got a little flame like this. If you just fan it gently, big fire will come. If you don't fan it, that little flame will go out. But if you fan it nicely, the whole big fire will come. But if you fan it too hard and blow on it, and poof, it goes out. So that's the real art of learning how to fan the spark without making it go poof. It's not easy. Narada is next. Okay, Dr. Ann.
I just, when you were talking about like friendships with Krishna, like about how there's a level where you're like best friends with Krishna, it seems like at that level you'd be in an illusion because you're not, there's no awe and reverence.
Yeah, that's called Yoga Maya.
I mean like what you were talking about like in the spiritual world. Like,
That's
so
called Yoga
they're
Maya.
still in Yoga Maya, even
That's
though
what the spiritual world is. The spiritual world is totally, the script is written, directed, and choreographed by Yoga Maya.
So when you're best friends with Krishna, but you're also in awe and reverence, you're not in Yoga Maya.
It's a different level of Yoga Maya. It's called Aishvarya, or awe and reverence. But the Madhurya mood is in Goloka, where Yoga Maya puts that mood of confidentiality and love there that's so sweet that one can't even have awe and reverence.
They can't have awe and reverence?
It would ruin the relationship.
But what is the goal? Isn't the goal to be best friends with Krishna?
Yeah, without awe and reverence.
So to be in Yoga Maya?
Mm-hmm. To be in Yoga Maya instead of Mahamaya. We're always under the influence of some energy. So it's either Mahamaya, which means the illusion that we find here in the material world, or Yoga Maya, the illusion that allows us to forget and not recognize that Krishna is God so that we can have a loving, pleasing relationship
It
with
seems
him.
like it would be the opposite, like that you want to know that Krishna is God
That's
and
by
also still have a
That's by
relationship.
no. Just like we're going to do a drama. Gokula Ranjana Prabhu is going to go on the stage and he's going to play the role of Lord Brahma. Okay? Gets all dressed up at the foreheads and everything, you know. He's playing the role of Lord Brahma. And we're all in the audience, everybody's like, ooh, wow, watching Lord Brahma create the universe and everything. But I know that that's actually Gokula Ranjana Prabhu. So I can't appreciate the drama. I'm like, oh, Prabhu, you know what? You can't even build a bookcase, and you're like up there pretending to build a whole universe. You know, get off your high horse. And, you know, I ruin it. It ruins the drama.
What is it called?
When Chaitanya
Suspension of
Mahaprabhu-
disbelief? Suspension, what is that? You suspend your, there's a phrase for that, where you suspend your belief for your,
Yeah, I don't know.
some,
It's like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here, he is Krishna with the mood of Radharani. And when people would recognize, every once in a while, somebody would recognize that he was God, and they would call him by such, and he'd get upset. Why? Because he's trying to play the role of a devotee of God. So if he's on stage playing the role of a devotee of God, and then you go, hey God, and you point out to the audience that that's actually God on stage, then he gets upset because that ruins the drama. It ruins the rasa. It ruins the fun. So Krishna says that love, which is mixed with awe and veneration, it does not capture my heart. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But that love, which is free from all types of awe and veneration, whereby my sakhas or friends control me by playing leapfrog with me and playing arm wrestling with me and defeating me in sports. That love by which Mother Yashoda binds me to a mortar with a rope and she chases me with a stick. That love by which the gopis have me wrapped around their little finger like a henpecked lover, that captures my heart. Not the love that acknowledges my supreme position. It's not sweet. When the child's at home with his father, and the father's a high court judge, the father does not want the child to say, "Oh, Your Honor, Your Honor, Your Honor." He wants the little child to not look at him as a high court judge. He wants the little child to look at him as just a plaything, somebody to play with and to laugh with and joke with. Not, "Ooh, my father's a high court judge, I better be very careful and not, joke with him." That totally ruins the rasa. Okay, one last thing and then we'll quit. Okay, Katya and then Kaivalya. Katya?
I just wanted to ask, I think it's a very popular question, so I just want to still ask it. So, you were saying that other sampradayas are giving, like they can reach the rasa until like friendship, the beginning of friendship, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sampradaya gives us other rasas. But how can we see that in our movement, like let's say you can take some pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, still we see that they never forget this awe and reverence. So how this sadhana bhakti can actually help us to forget the awe and reverence?
Right now, we are so fallen that we don't even respect God. We don't even believe there's God. We still think we are God. So there's 3 stages of consciousness. One is, the heck with God, I'm God. The second stage is, I acknowledge God and I repent and I offer my awe and reverence of worship and like that. And then the third stage is, what we were just talking about, where you go beyond the awe and reverence to sweetness. So we're way over here, where maybe theoretically, intellectually, I believe in God, but in my heart, I still am competing to be God. So we need that Vaidhi Bhakti that necessitates rules and regulations. Prabhupada explains the deity worship is supposed to be done in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. It's got to be punctual. It's got to be like this and like that according to the rules. We're supposed to come to Mangalarti. We're supposed to go to the, rules and regulations to bring us from the muck that we're currently in to at least to the platform of reverence for the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, see, but what about pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada?
He's doing it as an example.
But how can he forget that, how can the 2 moods exist simultaneously, like the Krishna?
Well, it's said that the Uttama Bhakta comes down, if you will, for the sake of service to the Majjhima Bhakta platform, where one, as you explained, that Prabhupada, did practice externally rules and regulations, but it was for service, for being an acharya, one who shows by example for his disciples and the rest of the world. So that's an extreme, talk about surrender. That's an extreme. How would you like it that someday you reach the Uttama platform